Greetings today. We are on Zoom, on a Zoom conference today for the Church of the Living God Saints. This is a benefit for you. Technology has drawn us closer together with comrades and friends from years gone by, and I was able to see this young lady grow into a healthy and vibrant woman, but also she's a mother, she's a wife, and minister. And she ministers in a way that she can do it both professionally and spiritually. So we're glad to have Miss Keisha Talbert Banks with us today. And I'm going to let her just talk to you, give her a little bit of a resume and tell you some of the things that God has blessed her. And then we'll get into some other discussion. All right.
Thank you, Pastor
Keisha.
Kevin. Yes. What's up? So I got a lot of energy. I'm all over the place, and it's early, but we, just gonna do what the is and share with the people. So I started out, met Pastor Kevin when I was a student at Ball State in Muncie. So I was there 4 years and VOTite. So I got to give a shout out to VOT, the greatest VOT, the infamous VOT. And actually just have kept in contact since then. Left Ball State, moved to Indianapolis. So by trade, I am a licensed clinical social worker. But doing the work of the Lord is social work for me. And so what I do isn't a job. It's a career if you look at it from a professional standpoint, but it's honestly doing the work of the Lord. And I am honored to serve our communities in any capacity that I can. Also advocating for people of color. So in multiple areas, my background is in mental health. And so just trying to break down the stereotypes and the stigmas that are attached with mental health, mental illness, what that looks like, how we overcome it, especially in communities of color where there is a huge stigma with getting help for the mind, just as we would any other body part. The heart, our insulin levels with diabetes and, different other physical illness, people are okay to see doctors for and get help for. But we have to understand that the mind is just as important. So making sure that we pay attention to how we're feeling, what we're thinking, when that doesn't feel, or you don't feel normal, or you're struggling. Okay to say, hey, I'm struggling. I need to talk to someone. I tell people all the time, I have a private practice on the west side of Indianapolis, and people come to me for a number of issues to talk. They say therapist, they say the social worker, that lady with the couch in her office. I don't care what you call it, what you call me, how you identify me, as long as you walk through the door to get help, whatever makes you feel good. Some people say my therapist, oh, girl, we're going to have to catch dinner later. I got to go to see my therapist. And I'm like, yes, advocate for your therapist.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. I'm here to help. So let's continue to break down that stigma of, what mental illness is in, I'll say the Black community, but also communities of color. It's important for everyone to do that check-in when it comes to mental health, but it's especially critical in our communities of color, because there are so many concerns and issues and layers stacked up, whether it's societal layers and the pressures that people have just to be a citizen in our societies now, on top of family things, on top of personal things. And it's okay to sit down in someone's office and have a conversation about where you struggle, or even what's going well. I love hearing from my clients when they come in and they're talking about the things that are going well. So it's okay to talk about both sides.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm just glad that we have we have somebody that is willing to be there, because in times past, as you know, in our community, it was a stigma. It was a stigma when it came to the mind. Like you said, we could have heart issues, we could have diabetes, we could have high blood pressure, and those are illnesses that we feel, the medical field can be of service to us, and then what we did was buried all of the things that were going on in our minds. Like you said, never realizing that we're building up these levels and these things that we've shelved for forever, and only to later in our life see the things come off the shelf that we put up there, thinking that it would never bother us. But share with us, and we're in this pandemic. And a lot of people, the separation anxiety, the unknown, concerning the disease, and tell us, share with us some things that you've experienced, but you've shared with some people that have helped during this time period.
So a lot of times, and specifically dealing with the pandemic right now, is a time of crisis across the board. It isn't just hitting one community, it's hitting our world, right? This is a worldwide pandemic, a worldwide issue. And what I'm seeing from my perspective, as, I'll say as a social worker, is that people are experiencing stress on multiple levels, their own individual stress with how they're taking it all in, what their thoughts are, what their feelings are. And then if you add a family on top of that, whether you have a spouse or children, I'll hit the children level. Parents are now having to e-learn with their children and become the teachers in the home. If you add your professional, whatever that is, your work on top of that, many of people are working from home. So now they're trying to balance myself, my children, teaching my children, working from home, having meetings. You add a spouse in, that's another layer of just trying to, who's going to do what, when, and how we're going to manage space in the home. Keeping your children busy, because there's limitations as to what you can do with your kids now. And then you add in, for instance, even myself, parents. So you have elderly individuals that you may have to check on, whether it's neighbors, church members, right? Parents, aunts, uncles, different people like that. So that's another layer of just making sure that you're checking on people and connecting with them. And so when you walk outside of your home, that's a whole nother level, having to mask up, glove up, if you choose to. Some people, are still choosing not to, and everybody has their own perspective. And I think the thing about being in this current pandemic is understanding that we have to drop judgment, because judgment is a whole nother layer of stress for people. I don't let my kids go outside at all. Well, I let my kids go out in the front yard. I don't wear my mask and gloves when I go out to the store. Well, I put a mask, gloves on, I wrap up in, my auntie's sheet that she gave me 6 years ago, whatever it is, everybody has their own thing and way of surviving this pandemic. And there isn't a right or wrong, because it's how we're choosing to operate.
Okay.
And I think that that's the thing that people are missing. It's, well, you have to do this or you have to do that. But honestly, everybody's making the decisions right now that they feel are best for them in this time of crisis.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What is some of the advice that you would give, for the parent, the spouse, in terms of adjustment, in how they view or thinking, in terms of their children? Um, what are some of the things that you're doing that may be helpful
Yeah.
to some others?
Yeah. So as far as parents are concerned, you've got kids at home. It may just be one child or multiples. Things that you can do are, reaching out to the schools to see whether it's preschool, elementary, high school, even universities, to find out what they can offer or what they are offering. I know some school districts are doing things like Google Hangouts or Zoom meetings where their classrooms can, get together so the kids can actually see their friends. I've got kids and they've been on these things, and they're seeing their teachers and some of their friends from school, and it's just a way to socially connect. Um, Things like calling storylines, if it's through a library or a national line or something like that. There's people on Facebook that are getting on and reading stories and things of
Mhm.
that nature. So connecting your kids to your account, even if it's just to sit them down in front of the computer and say, hey, this lady's doing this cool art project, and giving your kids paper and paint or crayons. You can do things like that. Going out on nature walks. It may just be around your neighborhood. It could be in your yard. It could be, if you live in an apartment, maybe you kind of go on the trail and walk the sidewalks through your apartment
Mhm.
complex. So there's lots of things that you can do. I use the analogy of being creative. So
Okay.
using your creativity on a different level. I've had people just sending me stuff that they're doing, and I'm like cheering them on because I think it's awesome. One of the ideas was throwing different recipes, like foods that families like to eat. Everybody throws in a favorite. You throw it into a hat, and every night a kid gets to pick out one. Oh, it's chicken Alfredo tonight. So mom makes chicken Alfredo. The next
Okay.
night is Taco Friday, but doing things that everybody can be involved. The important thing I think to state is that sometimes as adults, we forget about the kids. We forget that the kids are having a hard time adjusting to this, just like we are. They're missing their
Mhm.
friends, they're missing socializing, they're miss being outside, they're missing their routine,
Okay.
because believe it or not, that routine of getting up, going to school, having that routine in their classrooms throughout the day, and then coming home, that's a routine for them. And now
Yeah.
the routine may just be waking up and waiting for that parent to sit down with them to do homework for an hour or to log them onto their school system. And so just remembering as adults that we have to take the time to check in with our kids as well, because this is difficult for them too, just like it is
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And that separation anxiety exists for them too,
Absolutely.
because they're used to, like you said. My grandson, he's used to, when it first started, I can remember him saying, Papa, I'm not going to get to see my friends. How am I
Yeah.
going to get to see
Yeah.
my friends? And like you said, his teacher has created a Zoom account, and something that even the teacher gave credit to one of his students. And the student got in touch with him and said, hey, do you think you could do a Zoom with all of
Oh,
us? And
wow.
he was not one of those. He said he's not he's
Yeah.
not technically savvy, but he said he would try it, and he's excited now,
Good.
that he tried it, and they were able, and they do it. I believe they do it once a week now.
Sure.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and my grandson, I can see him, his eyes light up when
Yeah.
he's able to share with his class and just sit
Yeah.
there and be a part of it, during this time also. There are those who are less fortunate,
Hmm. Hmm.
those who are less fortunate, that don't necessarily have the surroundings.
Hmm.
um, you know, they're homeless,
Yep.
or you know, what do you say to what? I mean, what can we share with them that maybe? And I know there's different places
Yeah.
that are trying to handle that, but that's an issue too.
Yeah. I think, just knowing if you know someone's situation and you can't offer anything, maybe financially or any other type of a way, just offering words of encouragement.
Mhm.
Sometimes to just tell people, I know this is a tough time and I see you. If you need to talk or to pray, that may be the only thing that I can give, but I'm here if you need me or when you need me, right?
Right.
That opens up the door to let that person know at least I have someone that I can confide in and talk to.
Mhm.
If you know of resources, I think we can use social media in a positive way to say, if you hear of a resource, share it. It doesn't take
Right.
but 2 seconds to share a resource. Or if you know of someone who has something to offer, to pass that on to someone else. You can text it to people. You can share it on your social media platforms. You can call somebody and say, hey, I know that you were having a tough time. Church of the Living God is having, a free food pantry, and all you
Hmm.
got to do is drive through, or, whatever. Let me go pick it up and I'll bring it by and put it on your porch. There's so many, again, using that creativity to think of how you can help people with still being safe, practicing
Hmm.
physical distancing, and some of these other things. But, if you're on the verge of, being, homeless or whatever, some of these other things, contacting your city or um, townships to find out if there's things that they can help with assistance, financially or otherwise.
Okay. Yeah, and we're not going to keep. I know you've got a full day today, and I'm just thankful for you being able to come on and talk with us. Um, what are some of the things that, or because coming out of this pandemic,
Yeah, yeah,
um, I believe with all my heart there's going to be a need for people to talk.
mhm.
um, and what are some of the recommendations that you have in terms of for people who to talk to, or people that they can confide in, or at least help, be a help.
Yeah. So always just kind of check. I keep calling them check-ins, and a check-in is just, I have to do it myself, multiple times a day. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? Am I tired? Am I needing something different? And there have been days where I'm like, I've been, doing sessions all day or in meetings or whatever. I need to just get some fresh air. So I step outside for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever, just to be in a different environment. So I think doing that check in to say, what is it that I need at this point? If you're needing additional support, who is it that I trust to offer this support of what I need? Maybe you just need somebody to listen. So I'm going to
Hmm.
call, Pastor Kevin just for 5 minutes. Hey, Pastor K, I just wanted to check in. Yeah, it's been a rough week. But thank you so much for doing the stuff on, Facebook, or, for throwing some stuff up on the website. And I read it, I feel encouraged. So keep that going,
Right.
or, there's multiple prayer lines that are going. There's services and Bible studies, and just people getting on different social media platforms, doing things to keep people encouraged. and things of that nature. If you're not feeling physically, you're having some struggles, then reaching out to your primary care doctors. Calling right now is always critical because they don't want you just showing up to their facilities.
Right.
Obviously, if it's an emergency, then that's going to look different, but checking in with your doctor. If you have seen a therapist in the past and you feel like you're struggling a little bit, reaching back out to that therapist or a mental health provider to say, hey, like, I need to talk to someone, I need some help. There are multiple hospitals that have crisis departments where there are trained individuals that can talk to people about what they're dealing with. So finding, that number or crisis agency that's closest to you, depending on where you live. There's also national numbers. So the National Suicide Hotline, I believe is what it's called. You can call that number. There's also a crisis chat line. So you can text where you're actually just, crisis text line is actually what it's called. You can text with trained providers if you don't want to get on the phone and actually talk to somebody. So you can text back and forth with a professional. So there's a lot of resources that are out there. But you have to know what you need. And sometimes people may say, well, I don't know what I need. I just feel off.
Right.
Because it's real. Like in this moment, I don't know what I need. So checking in with somebody, again, that you trust to just talk it out. A lot of times when we talk things out, we talk things through, we figure out that's what I need, or maybe this will help.
Right.
But, I think we all have to know that just sitting and not doing anything, nothing will change. And that's the biggest thing to remember is if you do nothing, nothing will change. But if you do something, at least you've got some movement. And you may not feel like it. I tell people, and even me, I have to get up most days and say, okay, get in the shower, do something, put on some clothes, look human, because that helps. Because we can get into the zone of, well, I've been working from home for a month and a half, 2 months. I'm going to just chill. I'm about to tie a rag around my head and wear the same t-shirt for 6 weeks. Like, get up and get moving. Get up and do something so that you feel at least like you're productive in some way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's critical.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing in what you said is you got to talk.
Yeah.
You've got to reach out. You've got to speak. The thought that people can read your mind.
Yes. It's
They
not.
they really can't. We've got to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So Church of Living God, you heard it. We had a moment with Nakisha Talbert Banks.
Yes.
And we are just so glad that she came to speak with us, and we're glad. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
On behalf of the
Thank
Church
you
Living
for
God.
having me.
Yes, and we might have to have some moments with you,
Yes.
just to come back and just to share with us some of the experiences, even that you experienced during this time, and that to let people. I think we need to understand that in the first church, there was a word. The Bible says in the book of Acts that all things were made common. And I think most people think that it's uncommon to have these emotions or these things going on. But it's a common. It's common.
And I tell people that all the time, even myself. I think people think because I'm a professional, right, that she's got it all together. No, listen, I fall apart multiple times a day, just like everybody else. I'm trying to teach my kids, run a business. My husband's trying to work. They want snacks 80 times a day. I have become a lunch lady. I have done all of these things, and I fall apart too. And I feel stressed when I have to go out, and I wonder what's going to happen. That unknown creeps into my mind as well. But in those moments, you just have to embrace those feelings to say, right now, I feel anxious. And that's okay, because I would question if people are just walking around like, oh yeah, like this is great. Pandemic? Oh my God, this is so awesome. Like, woo, pandemic. No. To feel nervous, to feel scared, to feel like I'm a little leery of the unknown. These are all normal feelings. And if we could embrace it and be real about it, that's how we can help each other get through this. Right. So,
yeah. And it goes, it even connects with the spiritual, because God doesn't want you to lie about anything. He wants you to be honest, be forthright, let him know. That's why it says, cast all your cares. Prior to that casting the cares, the Bible says, it says that he is faithful.
He is.
God is always going to be faithful. He's going to be faithful, that when you cast those cares,
that's right,
he will open the door. He will open the line of communication with someone. He will bring someone into your view.
Absolutely.
That can be a benefit. That can be a benefit. Well, thank you so much, ma'am. And we're just honored to have you. Thank God.
We'll have to come back, or I'll come back and do a laughter session with Church of the Living God. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you heard it. You heard it. Church of the Living God.
Yes, hold me to it.
Yeah, I'm going to hold you to it. Well, God bless you. We love you. We thank God for you. And may the blessings of God continue to be in your house, and continue to walk, and you continue to walk in who God has made you.
Absolutely.
We're thankful.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you. God bless you.